Rocha. I'm the Public Programs Coordinator here at Plaza de Artes. Today's program is going to be American Latinos in Hollywood, the struggles and achievements in the TV and film industry, which is graciously supported by the Smithsonian Institution. Our shared future reckoning with the racial past that has been graciously supported by the Smithsonian Institution. This program series focuses on highlighting the multicultural artistic nature of Los Angeles and to engage with the public on issues relating on positive social change and imagining a more equitable shared future. This program is a partnership with the Chinese American Museum and the Japanese American National Museum. More programs will be taking place at all museum locations now until December 17th with a Cultivating Free Family Day event here at La Plaza de Artes. So welcome, and please help yourselves to refreshments and waters. And I want to thank Rafael Agustín for providing some books free. So you guys are more than welcome to take home some books that will leave me. I'm going to be passing now to our moderator, Louise.
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you very much. I just want to let you know some housekeeping information. We'll have a discussion. We want to have a discussion uninterrupted, so we'll leave time, about 15-20 minutes at the end for anyone who has any questions for any of our panelists. But we would like to hear what the panelists have to say uninterrupted. So just want to let you know that you will have a chance to ask questions at the end of the panel. Okay? Alrighty. I think we're good. You got a glimpse of everybody's work. And I just wanted to let you know, first of all, that Hollywood has had a long tradition of misrepresenting us, of underrepresenting us, and sometimes we've been entirely missing in action. Okay, I think that's something that we all know. Okay, and I just want to just let people know that. Number one, just some myths that have been around for a while. Number one is that Latinos are recent immigrants into the movie industry. That is not so. Okay, Latinos have been part of the motion picture industry since its inception. Some not only here in Hollywood, but back east. One of the first Latino stars back east, who started back east, came from Spain. His name was Antonio Moreno. Okay, you might know him best from, he was the professor in The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and he was the Mexican vaquero in The Searchers, in John Wayne. So, but he started in 1910 in the silent era, okay? And he was a leading major player. Okay? And then we had Myrtle Gonzalez, who was a Chicana, Mexican-American, grew up in San Bernardino, and she was a major star in the silent era from 1910 to 1917, where she was the heroine. I mean, she was the hero of the film. Okay, unfortunately, she died before her career could really blow up because she died in 1918 during the Spanish flu pandemic. So I just want to let you know that we've been here since the beginning. And one of the reasons they came to Los Angeles was that there was an available labor pool of, guess what? Mexican Americans, Chinese Americans, Italian Americans, different ethnic groups. You needed people, San Fernando Valley was ranchers. You needed people who could handle horses. Stuckey, we had people to create sets, to build sets. So we've been here since the beginning. Then the other thing I want to say is that Latinos were not singular in having to change their names, okay? Most everyone changed their names in order to fit into the image that either the studios had developed for the talent or afterwards the talent itself. So it wasn't just Latinos, everybody to a certain extent. Unless you're real handsome and your name was Tyrone Power, it fit the image, you didn't change it. But, and then there was one actor who was Jewish, Hungarian Jewish person, his name was Jacob Krantz. And at the time, he changed his name because it was the time of the Latin lover. He went the other way. Okay, he changed his name to Ricardo Cortez. So, hey. So I just wanted to, just talk about some of those myths. And also, today we're going to talk about what's happening now in Hollywood. We've had a really good year this year with Flaming Hot, okay, A Million Miles Away, the biggest movie of the year, co-starred America Ferreira in Barbie, okay?
Oh, yeah.
So we've had some pluses this year. The Hunger Games had Rachel Segler, the girl from West Side Story, and Scream, I think 4 or 5 of them, there's so many of them, that had Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, and possibly, the most heralded movie of the year, and we're very, very pleased today to have him here with us, the director of The Blue Beetle, Manuel Soto. Last time I checked at the box office.
Nice.
And also, it's the #1 movie on streaming right now. So, and it's available on DVD, so if you want it, Blu-ray, you can get it too. Alrighty, so I'm Manuel Soto. We have Nancy De Los Santos, okay, who's a brilliant, brilliant writer, producer. Rafael Agustín, he was generously donated to us today to have illegally yours, which he can talk about. Okay, and he was also a writer for the hit show Jane the Virgin. Okay. And we have Alma Martinez, who's had an incredible career. I mean, not only in films, she's done films like Under Fire, Barbarossa, she's done television work, countless episodic series, and she's done stage work not only here, but all across the country. So we're very, very pleased to have this ensemble. So let's do it right now. Let's start with Alma, okay? What, I'm going to ask this of everyone. What was the defining moment when you decided to become an artist?
Oh my goodness. High school. I think all of you know I'm Mexican, and raised in a Mexican family, and then went to high school, and the more I got better grades, the more white I acted, I got awards. So the whiter I acted, the more I was lauded. But at home, I was Mexican in a whole other world. A lot of you know it in your head. Acting, theater. It's almost like I could be myself. Even when I was doing white scripts, the emotion was real. The emotion was real. The relationships were real. What I had to give was real. And I've never disconnected from that. I act because it's my meditative state, it's my Zen state. I'm always looking to do, especially theater. Especially theater. I would do it for free. Artists try to do the work, and I think a lot of us are artists first, and that's why this whole thing of business, Hollywood, we're artists first. Mm-hmm. We just want a chance to be able to do it as often as we can with the best people.
I would say that I came to this country with my parents when I was 7 years old, and my dad was a pediatric surgeon, came to work at a car wash, and my mom was an anesthesiologist, came to work at Kmart. So we grew up. I grew up very broke, immigrant existence in the United States. But the thing that we always did together that we could afford was watch movies on the weekends. Like as long as we could afford the $2 movie rental and don't get any late fees, would be good. And I remember from that early age that I wanted to be part of that industry. I wanted to bring that kind of joy to people like my parents. I think that's the earliest memory I have. Like, I want to work in Hollywood. But the truth is, it was my immigration problems that I discovered in high school, because I was like an overachiever, class president, prom king, top 10% of my class. I applied to go to college and discovered I'm undocumented, because my parents never told me. And it was because my scholastic career had to stop, and I had the only thing I could afford out of pocket was community college. It was community college that actually get my path in the arts. Because I discovered theater in community college, and that led to being a TV writer.
I'm going to use it because I don't have such great theater voices. I still have my inside voice. So I know exactly where this started. And for me, it started when I was my father's channel changer before That's the truth. Born and raised in Chicago, Mexican American family. My parents were from Texas, moved to Chicago, and my father was a truck mechanic. And he'd come home at night, tired. All he wanted was to sit on the couch, have dinner, sit on the couch, have a beer, and watch his favorite programs, which were always Westerns. And the one that I remember the most was Gunsmoke. Remember Gunsmoke?
Yes.
Marshall, Dillon, Kitty.
Miss Kitty.
I know all of them. But gracias a Dios, my dad would look at it and I was like, okay, change channels, we make it louder, go make it louder. Because it wasn't like this, I had to actually And he said to me words that will always resonate in my heart, and that was, why are there no Mexicans in Dodge City? And that's where it started. Why were there no Mexicans? We know we were there. We were there. We were there in the West. This was all Mexico. Everything was Mexican. Why were they not there? Why were they not portrayed on that program that everyone loves so much? And that's where it truly started for me. That seed planted that I had to do something, and I had no idea what that would be, to change that, to contribute to adding, to have realistic images of ourselves on the big and small screen. And then in the fourth grade, I won an award for, my composition was chosen to be read in front of the school assembly, What My Mother Means to Me. And the response, the laughter, the applause, the applause at the end. I said, okay, I like this. That's what I'm going to do. So those are the two things from my parents. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Manuel Soto. I'm from Puerto Rico. From the island, not the area. I'll get to it. But for me, it was when my dad took my first memory of going to the movie theater was Indiana Jones. And I remember watching that movie, and yes, I was entertained, but I was just mesmerized as to how they made that happen. I remember there was a scene where a guy with the turban gets beheaded, and the head rolls. And I told my dad, I think they used a toilet paper. He's like, you're not scared? I was a toilet paper, right? The vertebrae and everything. And I remember that, and she's like, my dad was like, oh my gosh, I'm like into the making. But Puerto Rico doesn't have well, right now it's developing a little bit more, but we don't have schools for that, so I studied architecture and advertising. So I figured I needed to know how to sell myself in the competitive environment. So advertising could help me to at least find the vocabulary and understand a little bit of the psychology of the customer. So I first knew how to sell myself without any talent. But I just started like diving in, getting a little bit of understanding of what was happening in the world. We're lucky, me and a couple of friends who were into film, we're lucky to have a couple of professors in school give us the opportunity to create short films instead of essays. They still made us do the essays, but at least we were able to like, oh, let's do a film. So that kind of like gave me the opportunity to get a chance to fall in love with the artistry behind it. With the lack of resources, there's that saying in Puerto Rico, until Latin America. hacemos de clima corazón. Whatever you throw at me, you gotta throw something back. It's cool. So, you know, after going on, saying that words like none of the heroes were Latinos, and whether like Indiana Jones or if they were Latino, they would have somebody else play Latino. And if the main character was Latino, he was a villain. Or he can kill him, or he's a bad guy. He cannot be the hero. And as a Puerto Rican, you know, we have been severely misunderstood in this country by design through colonialism. And the first time we ever got a chance to show ourselves in the mass consumption media was West Side Story. It was like a super racist misdepiction of who we are. And then they decided to make a second one and do the same thing. And then like the other one was Carlitos' way, which is kind of like, oh my gosh, Al Pacino, he's the top Cuban and Puerto Rican. He's not that. But again, he's a criminal. Like, we never got a chance to tell our stories from the point of origin, right? We live in paradise. Right. Why would we want to move to Harvard? Well, nobody speaks about that. And for me, it was like unfair that we never got a chance to tell our stories from the point of view of like why got us to come here in the first place. Because none of us wanted. That's true. So for me, it was like, okay, so how can we do stories where we can amplify who we are? Even if it's not a story about us, how can I tell a story of my experience in a marginalized community, etc. And being able to channel that and see ourselves the way that I grew up seeing my community, which is that we're powerful, we're strong, we're heroes of our own stories. You know, I'm sick and tired of being the villains of their stories, so we were able to flip that script.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start with Angel and work our way this way. How did you navigate your way to your first professional job?
So I got lucky. I did my first film, La Granja, in Puerto Rico, and although it took like 4 to 5 years to finish it because we didn't have much money, it did very well on the international film circuit. It won Opera Reina in Guadalajara, and we premiered in Fantastic Fest in Austin. And it also told the story of a Puerto Rico that nobody pays attention to, which is from the lands I'm from. Everything in Puerto Rico is like the palm trees and the beaches and the girls and the music. And although we do have that, that's a great export. That's not who we are. And I wanted to tell a story of what it was like to live in a country subjected by colonialism and the yoke of imperialism from the United States, and how we kind of like our pursuit of happiness was always trampled by the blockade of colonialism. So that sort of like kind of resonated around the world, and it got me the opportunity to get an agent and a manager. And after Hurricane Maria, I got that script for Shop City Kings, and we were able to play a story that then, you know, won Sundance and got the attention and everything moving forward. But I guess all that leverage in a way, I don't know if that's the right word, but all those things kind of like allowed me to embrace what my father has always taught me, which is not to be embarrassed of who I am, you know? I learned English very early. I went to a whole English school. And my dad was like, you need to learn their language to colonize. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, so that nobody takes advantage of you. But make sure you learn with an accent so that nobody gets you. I can speak very little English, but my accent is always going to be very Canadian. That's how I get on that. But that for me kind of like made it a little bit like, you know what? If there's something that the colonizer respects or fear, is being proud and being honest and not bend the knee. If you bend the knee, they will take advantage of it. They won't respect you. But if you stand strong to your core beliefs, there's okay, this guy respects himself. So for me, like, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's what really happened. But that's what my dad taught me. Like, don't be embarrassed of who you are because that's your superpower. but you cannot. There's nothing in you that's ever going to take away the fact that somebody's going to see a Latino, a Caribbean, an Antillano, a Puerto Rican. So embrace it, because our stories have never been told, and our stories can be told through many other facets. That's how I got that meaning of being able to break in and find strength in who I am, not in who they want me to be.
And that's why they are here. They want your point of view. Correct. Yeah, correct. They want
Like having that point of view, ultimately that's what they tell you, that should be the strength of it all, but at the end of the day, that's the thing that they're looking for the director, is a strong point of view. And if you're easily manipulated, they can tell. And they don't, sometimes they want it because they can manipulate it, but other ones is like it's a risk they don't know they have to take, because art is all about taking risks. So I don't consider myself as a risk, but the fact that they do, I see it as an opportunity, not as an obstacle.
And that's the message in the movie.
Yeah.
The superpower is who you are.
Yeah.
You found me. It's really great that I went to it. So the question is,
how did you navigate your way to your first professional job?
Right, okay, so I just want to back up a little bit and say that I went to high school as Secretary High School in Chicago, because that's where all of the Mexican Americans and black girls were filtered. You go there, you don't go to college. And I learned how to type really well, and I learned how to work in an office and answer phones and do all that. I got a job at a hospital doing that. This is important. I know it's a little bit longer, but doing that. But I met a young man from Colombia, who was at that hospital working so hard. And he said to me, "Why are you not in college?" And I said, "I don't even know what that is." And I grew up in Chicago. It wasn't like, college was available. And he said, "Well, you should be in college." My family skipped and saved every penny so that I could go from Colombia to Chicago, and you're here already. You need to be, and he kept at, you should be doing that. And all along through my career and my life, it has been Latinos who have helped me, who have pushed me, who have encouraged me. And I do that as much as I can for everyone else. So with his advice, I quit that job and took the nighttime job of transporting bodies who had died in the hospital to the morgue. But it wasn't such a bad job, because a lot of people didn't die all the time, and I got time to study at night. And then I got a job that was, then somebody else said, "Okay, you're in college, you should go on to a bigger school," another Latino professor. So I went to UT, I'm a Longhorn, I went to UT, Texas. And they also were in the football finals, and it was there that I had to choose a major. And because of that fourth grade, what my mother gave to me, I went into journalism, photojournalism. But then that also led to videotaping and taking pictures, and I became a documentary person. All of the Chicano protests and meetings and things we did, and I became very politicized while I was there, which was a really good thing. And then when I came out, I went back to Chicago looking for a job, couldn't find a job really, but I volunteered at the public television station here, and there was one African-American gentleman who had an office in the back, in the corner, in the basement, in the dark, really. And I wrote a letter to them and said, "I want to volunteer, here's all my, everything I did." He had that letter, he called me in, and he wasn't Latino, but he did help me. And he said, "We have a job here that is for to work with Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel, the film critics.
Oh, wow.
And it looks like you have a lot of good experience. You could do it." It was totally affirmative action. Totally and completely, they needed a Latino in that building. There were no Latinos in that building. I was the first Latino in that building. And I said yes to that, and then learned that was my college, working with those guys. I mean, I had already gone to college, but that was really the master class, working with those two film critics. But affirmative action, Latinos, African American folks, those are the ones who encouraged me, elevated me to get me to go on this incredible journey.
always get is how do I make it or break it as a TV writer? And when I think about that, there's really three ways I think people can break in. One is you're born into the industry, but none of us are Nepo babies, so it's not for us. The second one is get a job, any job, in any TV production and work your way to the room. Because I've seen a lot of assistants, PAs, line producers, just work your way to the room. And the third one, which is mine and Anna's too, like you have to do something that the industry wants you for. Like you have to win like a film festival, you have to create like the biggest YouTube series. In my case, I was fortunate that I was selected as a Sundance Fellow. And the way I came to that was, again, theater. I started in theater that I discovered in community college. When I'm at UCLA, I created this comedy show that goes on a national tour. It did very well. Like we made like $1.5 million the first year of touring, which is unheard of for like minorities. Participant media picked it up as TV development. We developed a TV show out of it. Biggest lesson in Hollywood. Success has many parents, but failure is an orphan. When that show didn't work, it was my fault, even though I took all the notes from the show, whether the producer, the studio, the network. But the final product had my name on it, didn't work. I was depressed. I thought I was never working like film and TV. And finally, I was like, you know, if I'm gonna fail, I want to fail by my own merits, not by like all these notes I received from everybody. So I wrote a TV pilot about my life, about growing up undocumented. And I wanted to do it like the Wonder Years. And I was like, what is a family sitcom about undocumented Americans look like? So I wrote that. That's what made me a Sundance Fellow. And I sold that show to CBS Studios and to the CW before I had ever been staffed as a writer. That doesn't happen that way. It just happened to me in that way. So then I got staffed on Jane the Virgin. I spent 2.5 years. And then when it was time to select if this show goes to series, we didn't get picked up to series. They picked a different show called All American because they only have one person of color that went to high school. So that got picked up. They're my little nemesis and I didn't even know where. But it was at that moment when we didn't get picked up to series, and I was like, I'm not going to let Hollywood dictate my career. I took all that work that I did. I went to New York and got a book. And that's the book that came out. And now, believe it or not, a major studio is optioning it to develop it into a TV show. Hollywood dictates your career. You truly constantly have to put in the work. Build your own table. Don't expect a seat at the table. Build your own table. And don't take no for an answer. And I do think, like as a community, we don't do well hearing no. We get crippled by it. So instead we don't have to stay quiet, right? But I feel like more affluent communities, like they hear no and they're like, I'll find my way around it. That's what we have to do. Absolutely. That's what we have to do. Very good.
I'm probably, 15, 20 years older, so I've got a lot of stories. I'll talk about the theater first, and then I'll talk about my first film, Barbarossa. Out of high school, I knew nobody in the industry. All I knew is I loved acting. So I got a full scholarship. I was again top of my class and blah, 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 blah. All of that. And SC was 28 miles away. Culture shock. My grades from an A student to a B student, which is like, for me, I failed. But the acting is awesome. Those of you who know acting is psychological realism. And that's the main style of acting in the United States, psychological realism. Well, who's realism, who's psychology? So it's when the only Latina in USC at that time, I was 18, the first improv, they called me up. You're late coming home from school, your dad's on the phone, you have to explain why you're late, go. My dad doesn't speak Spanish. I never go out. I have to go out with my brother and want to go out alone. My dad never answers the door, never answers the telephone. Hi, Dad! So I started like acting white. I did pigeons. And then I was the bad example of phony acting. I was making an example because I did it wrong. And I did. So that and grades, and it was just a difficult time for me. I left. I dropped, lost my scholarship. I'm on scholarship all the way. And went to Mexico. I must be Mexican. Went to Guadalajara. I couldn't study theater because señoritas, good young ladies, don't study theater. So I'm a bilingual executive secretary. They put us in secretary of schools. Wasn't it fabulous? Computers? I'm a whiz, right? That's right. I know, not novels. So I wasn't Mexican. I ended up, by the way, I was in Guadalajara in '72. I was with Patricia Bernal. So when I first saw Garcia Bernal, I went, Pati Bernal? So I was with his mother, and she was 16 years old. Well, went back to the US, went to Whittier College. I still wanted to go back to Mexico because I heard of the conservatory, the CUT, at the National. And again, I wasn't raised in Mexico, but I was always so proud of being Mexican. My first time was in Hollywood, I used to never say you're Mexican, never say you're Spanish. I'm still part of that generation. So, and all of this political, I won't get into it now, the China Act, the 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe, it goes on and on, why the stereotypes were. Anyway, went back to the court, studied phenomenal, Grotowski, Jerzy Grotowski, very famous acting teacher, changed my world. Because in Grotowski, it's not about realism. If you aren't acting joy, you are joy. The idea, it isn't based on language. I'm happy, no, I'm happy. The idea, so it wasn't based on language and culture. Changed everything, but I wasn't Mexican. Came back, who am I? Where do I belong? I have no idea. I was Chicana. I was Chicana. My mother said, no somos así, no somos de esa gente. We are not those people. We are Mexican. And I was Mexican. Well, no, I'm Chicana. Found Luis Valdez, but by the time I got to Luis Valdez, I'd already trained. And I found my people. That was it. That changed everything. After that, I fit in everywhere. Because I was a Chicana. I belonged in the US as much as I belonged in Mexico. And that changed everything. So opportunity is, preparation, opportunity is luck. And that's what happened. I happened to be well trained. I got the lead. I did the film. And then my career opened. Now back quickly to my first film. Again, I was, how did I explain this? It was a film shot in the middle of nowhere, and I started being sexually harassed by the producer of the star. I mean, it's, you know, this kind of thing where they just kind of look you over with sort of sexual predator energy. And I was just freaked out. Like, my first film, and he got me to rehearse with him in his cabin, way out in the middle of nowhere. And I told him I don't want to rehearse at night. Well, we have to rehearse. Are you afraid of me? I go, yeah, I'm afraid. I said, yeah, I'm afraid of you. And they drove me, cabin in the middle of nowhere. We sat down, started to rehearse, and he just kept saying, hey, you know, I fell in love, and I love Latina women. Just the tension. And I was already like this. This is my first film. And finally he said something, and I said, I don't know about you, but I came here to rehearse. Remember, I was like 26, my first film. And he got up and said, you Mexican women are all the same. Ooh. And I go, what? I have no idea what that means. I was pissed. And I have never done this again because now I can see it coming. I got up, I grabbed him, I shoved him against the wall, and I said, all I remember is looking down and he was like 600 pictures of me. And then I just walked out the cabin and I walked. It was like 3 miles away, base camp. And I just, nothing, just the moon, and I'm walking, going, there was a cactus, dirt road, base camp. And I wasn't going to go back there. I was not going to go back. And after that, treated me with the greatest respect, the greatest, but I still, there was no one there, you know, and that's my first film as a Latina in Hollywood. And great experiences, don't get me wrong, but the bottom line is, I went back to school, by the way, I have an MFA in acting from USC because I don't let, I didn't want money to get me down. I'm like a real fighter, a scrapper. And I have a PhD from Stanford in dramatic criticism. Because when I turned 40, I wanted to stay in the industry, and I wasn't sexy Latina anymore. I was a grandma at 38. I love saying grandma. So I needed to support myself, and I decided I love university. I love learning. I love universities. For me, like a church. The bureaucracy is crazy, but it's this beautiful, fabulous, gorgeous place to learn. this atmosphere, and so I became a professor. So I've been acting and teaching. I'm about to retire from teaching, but that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
How did the rise of Latino filmmakers, like you got your start, not exactly your start, but Luis Valdez, how influential was he? And I'm going to ask Nancy the same question as she worked under Greg Nava. How influential in terms of propelling your career was Luis Valdez with theater, and then with the films ensued, and then on and on? We're starting to define our own image within the Hollywood system.
You know, I never thought of a Hollywood career. That's the thing. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know it was a business. I loved it, but it was so far away. Like, so far away from me. I didn't even think, oh, I love to act. And I always went to acting universities, and that's all I knew. I got scholarships, I acted in universities and community theater. Luis and I clicked. We just clicked. I worked with him in a lot of his projects I did because we clicked. It's the same language, the shorthand. We're Chicanos, perfectly bilingual, and bicultural, and sense of humor, very body, very physically based. Rakowski is very physical. And I clicked. I would do anything as far as anything you write or produces, I'm there. But I'm a theater person. Latino is what I love to do. I just click with it. I'll do everything else, I'll do everything else if you need me to, but that's what I just did Mojada, Medea Los Angeles, Luis Alfaro's play about Latino family, and in Connecticut, when Miss Actress.
She got rave reviews too.
I'm the best actress in Connecticut in a play for 1 year. So I'm like soaking it all in. But that's theater because I think it's just so visceral. I mean, to be present and visceral from high school. It's like, and maybe someone else's script, but it's me saying it. I'm a caregiver for my mother, and I just arrived from Vegas, and I didn't let her have a donut before she went to bed last night, and she hid my keys this morning. Yeah, for an hour and a half. So it's been a rough morning, and in tears, I don't know if I'm so happy, I'm tired. Thank you for your patience.
Nancy?
So when I was working with Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel, Gregory and Anna Thomas together were actually friends with Roger Ebert. That's how we met. Everybody thought it was the other way around, but it wasn't. He introduced us, and I immediately just gravitated towards this genius man and genius wife. Anna was ex-wife right now, but Anna was absolutely terrific, and as also comes from an immigrant family from Poland, so she understood the immigrant experience. And the way I would hear Greg's words was that his mission, he talked about having a mission. And I realized then that I needed a mission in order to stay in this business. It has to be more than, I want a car, I want a Mercedes, I want to have a girl. It has to, because this is a fucking hard business. There's all there is to it. It really is difficult and challenging every day. You don't know if you're going to have enough to pay your rent. I've gone from $13 in my bank account one day to $30,000 being delivered to my bank account the next day because you sell something, right? And then you're like, wow, okay. And then it's gone because you owe everybody. But that's Gregory Nava. He gave me that idea to have a mission. And his mission was to elevate. We're not out robbers, we're not out drunks and prostitutes, because that's how they did with the Mexican portrayals. Prostitutes and crying mothers and gamblers. He wanted to elevate that. And when he asked me to work with him on Mi Familia, doing research as an associate producer, absolutely, I said yes. And I worked with him on that, and on Selena as an associate producer, again doing research, and everything else. That's a wonderful position. He said, take any paying job. I was like any job, whatever it is. Associate producer on a film is you make it what it is, and you wind up really just helping everyone to push that ball forward up the hill. But it was Gregory's insistence that, number one, Latinos play Latinos. You know, in Mi Familia, we have Puerto Rican Jimmy Smith. Love him very much. Playing Chicano from East LA. We have Isa Morales, Puerto Rican, playing his brother. Eddie Olmos. You know, just everyone in that was Latino. And he stuck to that, even though he was offered more money to put in Italian American actors. Al Pacino. In the movies. That's what it was. And you know, those seeds planted in the young filmmaker's mind where I was at that time, really because our hearts are fertile. We know what we're supposed to be doing. We know in our heart we're not here to have a damn house in Beverly Hills. That is not my goal. And I would say that's not the goal of anyone on here. You just said that. That's not your goal. It's about the work. It's about creating. And
I would like a house in Beverly
I knew it. Okay, I'll come visit you. Gregory really, you know, instilled that in everyone, in the crew, and the actors, and everyone. Latinos play Latinos and tell the truth and use historical evidence, which Mi Familia was totally. That was the first time I heard about repatriations. I didn't know that existed, that they actually just picked up people off the street. I didn't know that. I mean, he's a genius writer, producer, director. He really is, and he instilled that in me. And you know, I would never say, you know, he is a standard, along with a lot of our other, you know, veteranos, and that would be Moctezuma, Edgar James Olmos, you know, the people who did it when it was so hard. Really put himself out there and said, we're going to get this done no matter what. So I hope I answered your question, Luis.
Yeah. Angel, I'm going to go. Yes, same question, because you have really launched. We were talking about funny names before. You know, we learned Arnold Schwarzenegger when we first heard it.
Yeah.
Now, Solo Maridueña is a really hot commodity in Hollywood, thanks to him being cast in the Burrito. Very talented young man, leading man. So, and also all of your cast was Latino for the most part.
Yeah.
Can you address that issue?
Oh yeah, of course. That's as I was saying before, you know, in my experience, right, as a Latino man, which I understand, recognize my privilege within privilege. I was able to really like stand up to them and be like, this has to be all Latino, not just all Latino. Like, what if my Mexican family, they're all Mexican?
Excellent.
Like, and I'm all about, I think that we, as members of the pan-Latino community, I am not upset if somebody that is not Puerto Rican in terms of Puerto Rican, as long as they respect, they do the right research, they're all, because we're very critical. If you do a good job as a Latino representative from Puerto Rico, I have no problem. But in this case, I have no need to do that. There's so many Mexican and Chicano talent here, and the film is written by a Latino from Querétaro, Mexican from Querétaro, who lives now in the cities, gathered together to send. So it couldn't get more authentic than that. And me not being Chicano, but understanding, finding those things that connect us, I really wanted to have all my characters, not just to be Mexican, but also different generations of the Mexican experience. Like you have Adriana Barraza, and you have Daniela Jose, who live in Mexico, who are like the older generations and the Mexicans. And then you have like the George Lopez, and then Pilia Carrillo, who did that crossover, and it's that generation. But then you have like Melissa, and Cobedo, and Cholo Maridueña, who are these first, second generations who grow up with English being their main language, and who have been, you know, pretty much part of this community and media aquí, media allá type of environment. So it doesn't get more authentic. And my main discourse was like, one, I won't allow a white person to tell me how to tell my story, or their story for that matter. And they've always done it their way, and it hasn't been successful. Try it this way. Let's see if it's successful. And the fact is that everybody that came in, because they were playing a version of themselves, because they could see their family members in each and every character, they took it as seriously and they dove into those characters and they protected those characters and the production the same way that I did. So it was the first time I felt like this camaraderie of like, oh, we know what we're doing. I don't know if they know what we're doing, but we know what we're doing. So they might see the Trojan horse, but they don't know the fighters that are inside that Trojan horse. We are those fighters. So having that backing from all of them, and even on the villain side, we're having Yen, we have Max Trujillo, indigenous with Latino descent, we have Harvey, we have Alma Martinez from Brazil, which Brazil is often left out of the conversation, and they are Latinos too. And we have Susan Sarandon being our white ally in the team. I to her, she's like, don't worry, I know, I'll be here talking to you. She very well aware with the climate in Latin America and understood the assignment. So it proved that authenticity goes such a long way, and that specificity, in our specificity lies the universality of who we are and where we belong in our world. So we really wanted to protect that. We really wanted to keep it away from getting watered down by the hegemonical forces and the expectations of who we are supposed to be in this society. Where I think by being ourselves in this society, we're going to make it better.
Great.
A little story told about superhero character when you were developing it regarding the mother not knowing, and how you brought the whole family in. You said as opposed to other superheroes, their identity is not known.
Everybody here has been exposed to superhero movies, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's inevitable. And there's a trope that I get it. The superhero gets the power and he keeps it a secret and to protect, because all these evil forces are coming at him and he wants to protect himself. I get it. But at the same time, does it really have to be that way? It was so hard for us as Latino to keep secrets from our mother. Why not? That is part of the authenticity. I'm like, there's no way if I escape my home at night, oh man, it wasn't. She knew everything. And it will always be a big scene, right? So for me, it was like, why not? This is a superhero movie. We have Latinos at the lead. The family is Latino. What do we have to bring to the superhero trope that they don't bring because it's not their experience? So we started there with the family. If you cannot keep a secret from your Latino mom, then let's bring them into the secret. So the transformation happens in front of them. And even if it happens in front of them, even if it's something supernatural, it doesn't matter what I'm doing or the success of the video. My family still bullies me, like a kid that I've always been. It's like, how can we bring the Latino bullying also as far as you're a superhero, but you're still the little kid. They still make fun of him, no matter what. And that it's not forced. That's who we are. A lot of the stuff that were outrageous were ad-lib. We're improvised in the moment because it comes from a place of our own collective experience or our own individual experiences. Like Nana making fun of him when he's naked. When he was little, or the Vic's bedroom Like, that wasn't on the script. The script said, hire a website. And I was like, man, I need some motivation for this. And then the Lisa, the girl said, oh, my mom used to wake me up with Big paper. And then Adriana Raza, I have some Big paper. You cannot fake this, right? So, honing into our own experiences just made it so personal and not forced. And that is the thing, when we are in control of Americans, our Latinidad becomes so much more deeper than just, maracas and tacos and salsa music, whatever. Like, we're way more than that. Yes, those are manifestations of who we are. But when we go deeper, you can see how everybody connects, and the ones that don't get it, it's great. I grew up watching American cinema. I don't know what the real life is like. Yes, I accepted it. Right? And I watch Korean cinema. I don't speak an ounce of Korean cinema, but I connect with those stories. So they can be authentic, and still the human nature of who we are and how we relate with problems is still something that we can all connect to. How we do it is what makes us special. But we can all connect with the different struggles and see ourselves represented. And I think that by honing into that and having people be like, I don't get the joke, and this is what what's happening. See, now you start a dialogue. So by opening up to dialogue based on the things that we don't know, we're going to create a better, more, hopefully a more empathic society that's able to understand and accept individuals as they are and how much they can enrich our societies because of who they are, not because of who we want them to be.
Well said.
Thank you. Now, starting with Alma, what does being a member of SAG, Screen Actors Guild, or the DGA, what does that mean for you in terms of your professional career? Especially this year where we had a lot of union organizing strikes. What does it mean to get that Screen Actors Guild card or the Writers Guild card in terms of your professional career or DGA?
Comment first about unions. I mean, the only reason we have a middle class in this country is because of unions. It's because after the Industrial Revolution, I mean, what we think is like a weekend didn't exist. A weekend didn't exist. Working 9 to 5 didn't exist. Children were working. The same as adults. Unions. So to start with unions, that's why we have a strong middle class, and that's why now is the time that people are unionizing. Now, that said, we just finished our strike, it just ended. But it's there, for me, it's the union. Someone's got my back. Now, back in 70, whatever it was, 78, there was the union didn't protect women, didn't protect us. There was no one to call, no one to tell. I didn't tell anyone for 10 years. But now, hello, welcome to SAG-AFTRA. If this is a sexual harassment on set, please dial this extension if you're being harassed. It's like on the voicemail now. If you're on the set and you're being harassed, the union has got you. So my point is to cut your back. So being a part of the union, first of all, as an actress, is fun. My first one was Zoot Suit, Equity Card, and SAG-AFTRA, all of that. I'm actually, and I'm that too, in Mexican, when I was in Mexico, I did a couple of films. My point being, though, that for me, it's about the union. It's about the union. They're there to protect us, working class, blue-collar journalism writers. So I take it from that perspective. I'm also a member of the Academy of Arts and Sciences, and I'm proud to say, since I've been a member, I've gotten 10 people of color into the Academy. Because I learned, I used to feel like just a white boys club, and I learned how to become a member. Like, I learned how to do it. So I've got 10, and I've got 2 in the pipeline right now. So part of the union, the strength of it is bringing other people in. So become union as soon as you can. Anyway, the union is great.
It's a sad truth that there were more union members in the United States in the 50s than there are today.
Yeah.
And that is why the middle class has such strong examples. And we just overcame this historical labor fight, which is very interesting and telling because it's the first time tech companies have entered an industry that is run by unions. Because when you think about Airbnb, Spotify, Uber, right? You enter an industry, destroy the working class, turn them all into the gig economy, and you maximize profits. Well, when tech companies and streamers came into Hollywood, they faced a strong labor movement and had a very difficult time doing the same. And so I'm a proud member of the Writers Guild of America. The WGA always leads the union movements in Hollywood because we're the dirty communists that fought for residual detention and out in the 50s to get us to where we are today. All I will say is the DGA, y'all did all right, but man, it really took SAG-AFTRA to do the WGA to make it. The longest strike DGA has ever had is like 4 hours.
I got some things that I need to make fixed.
Very proud of you.
Very true. You know, when I was the first time being to be on the board of directors for the Writers Guild of America. Men or women. It was the first one. But one of the first questions I remember asking was, what is with this possessory credit where it says a film by, you know, so-and-so? Did he write that film? You know, no. The acting in the film? No, it's usually. But yeah, I had some problems with the GGA too.
I also disagree with the film by because it's not a collective.
Absolutely.
Like it's a collective, it's not my film. It's our film.
It's a DJ that started.
There's somebody wanted that.
Conflict resolution.
I think it was the white guy. Okay, so I love the WGA. They're absolutely there to protect us. If there wasn't the WGA saying here's the minimum, we would get paid way down here. That's how writers feel. They really, nothing happens. If the word is not on that page, nothing happens. They can't seem to get that concept though. So writers are, we're always so I really love the WGA. But that being said, SAG is different. I think I would hope so because the WGA was, and I think it's still down there, 90% white male. 90%. So who are they going to hire? They're going to hire people that they know, like people that they feel they can trust. And that has to end. There has to be, and this is the wrong term, I guess, but union busting within a union. We have to go in and say that's wrong. And little by little, over the 25 years that I've been a member, it has changed. I see it changing little by little because we do speak up. And we're very vocal, and I went from having like 10 members in our Latino committee and the WGA to now there's like 75 members of Latinos there, so it's great. But totally respect for all units here.
I'm just saying, like my dad was a leader of the union for Carson in Puerto Rico, and he was not liked very much because he was always hiding a lot. And like my dad doesn't understand the industry very much, but when I told him to realize that was his, he was so proud that I was a leader. And so I grew up with that flag, and I agree. Like for me, I wish there were people involved because it all affects us. Like I cannot direct the script or that's the script. Nothing that I can do is without an actor that will interpret. So I think that I don't believe in competition, I believe in collaboration. And for me, it was always like, why are we not there? And why can't I just go and join and speak up for them? Because their success is our success. And if we fail to fight with them, but with that same future, what would we deserve in the future if it wasn't the other way around? So for me personally, I'm in WGA and DGA, and I see a lot of work needs to still yet to be done, especially when the way it manifested, in our experience was that, how we don't wait until party happened, and then for us, we can get a little bit of a, yeah, there's nothing nice doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, let's support that. What was that type of Latino weight, especially to like, okay, this is happening historically, because it is more for me, it was more like I wish, and it's a dual thing, and it's a beautiful thing too, because so it was like, man, I wish my actors had the chance to be there, to see them shine, to see people react to them, listen to them. At the same time, the fact that they had to stand in line to provide a better future for the ones to come. What better heroic statement? So I always support them. If anyone has the opportunity to join the union, I strongly suggest it. They always have my back, and I always have their back. When you join a union, first of all, when you get into a professional stance, you have to join TGA, WGA, or SAG, the main unions. And when you do join a union, that gives you benefits. Health, pension, welfare, retirement benefits that you accrue. So in terms of a career, at the end of your career, when you decide to call it quits, you have money in the bank.
Yeah.
You have health insurance. You have, as they were saying, the union has your back on credits, on film, on final cut, things like that. So there's a lot of benefits to being in the union, and many times you can't even get to an agent or to first base, sometimes unless you have, you're a union member. Okay, so sometimes if you're not a union member, it can be an impediment to getting more work. Okay, so, but being a union member has all of those benefits that over the long run of a career, it comes in great handy, just in case.
Yeah, my first health insurance was with the WGA. Like 5 years ago. Like it was never had it in my life. So like it is definitely they're very important.
Next question is, does art change or evolve with the society that creates it, specifically motion pictures and TV? Because we've seen changes over the years. Does that change? You mean with the society that creates? We're a society that creates motion pictures, television, entertainment.
Yeah.
Does that art change or evolve with time, over time?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. You know, it's all different eras, and it's happening on the fine art world. It's always evolving. On picture art, people like that styles and shit. It's always evolving. And you know, when you have those waves of the different eras, especially in New Zealand, different movements. You know, like I remember how much it impacted me the Mexican New cinema started in the early 2000s. And they're just newcomers. Like there's always new generations that are pushing the art space, seeing what's happening, and what plans and changing cameras, etc. And for me, that's the beauty of art. But it's always changing. It's always evolving. It's always interpreting something, pushing the story, and pushing the narrative forward. My main thing is like, because cinema is such an expensive art to create, and we need a lot of people to do that. Especially in the US, that is such a profit-driven industry. A lot of those potential art styles and movements of the future always get a little bit of pushback because the gatekeepers are very safe and theory-driven. Like the risk of having something new is always met with resistance. And for me, art has always been very risk-driven, not safe-driven. So hopefully we get more Latinos as gatekeepers or people who are as gatekeepers
to be able to push our stories forward and be able to change the way we tell stories, because the way we communicate is so different from the way other demographics communicate. And it's not a better or worse, it's just the right thing to do at the time for telling the story that you tell. So hopefully it keeps moving and changing, because that's the beauty of the art, that it's always evolving, it's always growing, it's always taking risks, and it's always challenging the perspective of the audience and making them at least live in a world that they haven't experienced before. So I hope it continues to change. I hope as artists we continue to push stories forward, and also be open to allow other people to keep building up on that and keep changing things, because that's what makes art interesting.
And this is for Nancy and for Alma. How do we ensure that the Latina voice through characters and stories is heard? Because it seems like women have, as content creators, have made inroads in television. Herself, Tanya Saracho, Royal Calderon Kellett. So how do we make sure that the Latino voice comes through?
I just want to piggyback a little bit on what he just said, because it's so important that people are in those positions of executive roles throughout Hollywood, the people who are making the decisions, the gatekeepers who open the doors. And so there's more Latino executives now, but when I first started, wow, you'd be pitching to a room full of people who had no idea who you were, who actually said to me, and I'm sure you all heard, felt these things or heard these things, well, my maid's from Mexico. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so I'm supposed to know her? We get this, yeah. So those are very important words, that not all of us are producer, writer, directors. There needs to be executives and people producing that are in that system. They have to be there. For Latinas, we have to write our own stuff. That's you said. It has to be. We have to write it. We have to be in that struggle. We have to take on that gauntlet. I have often said, I cannot just be an artist. I have to be a political artist because of who I am and because of my mission, which is to elevate the Latina image wherever I can. And it has to come from us. It has to, the writing has to be stories that are from, the word authentic is so overused, but I really do, stories that are people who I know, who I live with, my family, my friends, who I've met, my circle of friends, they're not reflected on the stage or on film. So I have to put those words on paper so that wonderful actors like Alma can then take that and interpret it by wonderful directors, by wonderful other support people to make it happen. But it has to come from us, because truly, I don't think they care. They don't care, okay? You disagree with me. They don't care. They only care about how much money it's going to make. So we have to do it ourselves, and I hope we get a chance to talk about the project that I'm just finishing, because that is a real example of what we have to do in order to change the content. We will in a minute, but Alma's going to answer the question.
When the young people ask me how to get in the industry, there used to be a sort of hegemony where the studios, the executives, and then it kind of goes down, independent films and so on. There's no center. There's no center. There isn't one place everyone's trying to get to, because people at the top are trying to hold on. Victoria Alonso, is that her name? The highest ranking Latina, I guess, head of Marvel, the production. She happened to be Victoria Alonso, I think she's Argentinian. See? She was like, no, from her. She did a film, okay, this may be chisme, but now I guess it's not chisme. It's not public. But I was told she did a film, a very private film that she produced about Argentina, about the Dirty War, or the trial of the people involved in the Dirty War. It was beautiful. She was like, oh, from her. And I was told there was a connection, pero chisme, My point being, there's no talk. There's no talk. When you have young people like yourselves, have how many millions of followers on social media? There's no talk. They're holding on for dear life. And they can be, he said, hey, Disney's doing great, I'm out of here with my $1 billion, of profit. And he's back because they're failing. They're bringing it back. They said, we can't do this, come back. So my point is, there's no talk. There's lots of different centers now. Is there a postmodernist theory where there used to be a talk? Now it's postmodern, meaning there isn't one center. You're the center. If you have an idea with 1 million followers or more, you're the center. And that's why I love social media. It democratizes our industry, young people's voices. It's like rap. In the beginning, I didn't get it, but I get it. They couldn't be heard. African Americans could not be heard. So they created art, poetry, and music. There's a power in that. And now cultures have taken over. So my point being that there's no talk. So now you have to create your own center, do something powerful and meaningful that you love, they will follow you.
That's right.
People will follow you. And that growth of that power is power in the entertainment industry. They're dying for fresh ideas. They're dying for fresh ideas. And the problem is they're stuck in the old model. Stuck exactly what they're stuck. The answer's out here. And that's where they're looking, because in 40 years, Latinos are going to be 1 out of 4 people in the United States are going to be Latinos. Right. Now, if you're not Latino, don't get scared. You're safe. You're safe. But that's the reality. And it isn't just Latino, it's just the whole everybody, this new generation. Say, we can do it our way. We're not going to wait for you. That's it.
Again, it was female, feminine, voice.
Like women and Latinas are better at writing than Latinos, and I have a theory for this.
I didn't say we're better.
Are more successful than It's sad that it's actually heartbreaking that I'm still one of the few Latinos that broadcast and prove the intent.
That's true.
There's so little of us out there. And I don't always quote Becky G, but she said something very interesting recently. She said that in our community, we are taught that women are more powerful when they suffer the most, and that men are more powerful when they show the least amount of emotion. So we have an entire generation of young men who don't know how to deal with their emotion, and we do have Latinas who have so much more social emotional intelligence than we do. And that's the difference as to why there's not enough good male writers. And so we address that as a community. We're not gonna, luckily, Anja and I are super emo. So we're very emotional dudes, which is probably why we've been a little more successful in our careers than our family counterparts. But I do believe that that's the problem.
Vulnerability is something that we always talk as men, that is a weakness. And I have to give credit to my wife, because she really she dealt with a lot of bullshit from my end. And once I started to embrace my vulnerability and see it as a strength, being able to connect to that part of myself that's always been there. It's just that because of machismo and toxic masculinity, we have shown that. And once you embrace it and you deconstruct the toxic masculinity that we grew up with, you start to embrace parts of you that are more human than the ones that you were trying to suppress. So by honing into that vulnerability, with Cholo, and that was one of the things that I constantly was fighting with the studio. It's like they wanted the hero that shows emotion. That cries, how dare you? I was like, what? I wanted to show a different superhero that can be vulnerable. It's not about not having fear. It's about what are you going to do when that happens and you accept it. And that's what we have for people in our communities. So vulnerability as a superpower, I think, is the one defining action that, as you're saying, women have a lot of
range
leeway and range in the environment we can learn about. So we're running out of time, but I want to make sure that my last question for right now is, and I'll start with Nancy. Can you take us through the steps you are going through with your new or current projects?
No. Okay. This is like 20 years in the making. A long time ago, I said, why are there no romantic comedies with Latinas? Why? I think there was one about Chulo that I can't remember. That we fall in love with our own person just as much as everybody else does. Why don't we have our own movie? Why is that not existed? And I wrote a story based on authentic experience. My grandmother had given me this prayer to San Antonio because I wasn't married when I was 30 years old. Say this prayer, he's going to help me because he's lost. I put it in my back pocket and just said, okay, all right, And then I started thinking about it, and I got to be 40. I said, what's going on here? I should be married already. And I wrote a play at Plaza de la Raza, did the one-act play, gracias to them, in theater. I love theater so much, but I could not survive. And then with that, I wrote, and people encouraged me, write as a feature. I did. We did a TV. All through these years, while I was working in Selena and Mi Familia and paying rent and doing whatever I had to do. So I have to say all that because it does not come overnight. It just doesn't come overnight. And what I loved most about this story was that it was women like me, like Alma, like you, like all of us. Just regular girls who had their own lives and businesses, entrepreneurs, doing whatever, but wanting love, and that was it. So once we got to the point, somebody was asking me, how did you finally do it? When I finally just said, yeah, I'm tired of shopping this, I'm tired of hearing no, I'm tired of hearing we won't sell in Europe, so no, we hear that a lot. Latinos don't sell in Europe, so we can't do your movie. And I saved $20,000 of my own money and had it in a bank account and told my wonderful dear husband over there, Dan Reza, I don't care. I'm using this money for my pre-production on my movie. That's what I'm going to do. And once I crossed that line and said, no, no one is going to stop me. I don't care what I have to do with my stupid iPhone. I'm going to do this movie.
That's right.
That was it. And so I went down because it was set in San Antonio, Texas. I went to San Antonio and I had a lot of good friends there because of Selena. They all rallied around me and said, yes, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. And one thing led to another, and that ball started rolling. And I asked the wonderful Edward James Olmos to be my executive producer. And with him, he said, absolutely, make me proud. He didn't say, don't embarrass me. He said, make me proud. And I always will love Mr. Olmos for that. With his name, we started to take it out to investors with my little $20,000 and wine them and dine them and look at this shiny prospectus of all the money we can get back. We just invest in our movie. We found Latinos that had the available money that said yes. And the first was a mother of 2 teenage girls. And they are very wealthy, wonderful people. And she said, every time I go to the movies and I see these images, I just say, what are my daughters going to see? And I said, I want to be a part of it. Yeah. The next day, that money was in the bank. And with having that one investor say yes, then we were able to get another investor. Then, just through amazing circumstances, we got Luis Fonse to be a romantic lead. Yeah. And once he came on, more people said, Luis Fonse, I love Luis Fonse. I will also be an investor. Boom, boom, boom. You think, oh, how much did you raise? We raised $900,000. That was a lot for us. That's a lot for us. A lot. Because we had to go there and still script and save. Luis Fonse, Edward James Olmos. We got Vanessa Vasquez, who's amazing as an actress, and Jackie Cruz from Orange is the New Black. wonderful Vivian Mejia, who is Dominicana and Puerto Rican. We have Tatanka Means, who is Native American, who actually stood with me and cried. We both were crying, and he was saying, thank you for including our community in your movie, because we never get to be in a romantic comedy. How sad is that? And how happy I am that he's in the movie. So boom, 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 it all happened. We got everything in the can, and now we're in this really, just trying to finish it. It's crazy. It's almost more difficult when we say, what are you going through now? We're going through broken glass in the desert. It really is difficult. It really is difficult because there's so many things you have to still do. You've got to get it distributed. You have to find somebody that's going to put the money to. We want it to be in the theaters. We know. I went to Pubilo, but wow, that Latino audience really turned out for that. I know we will turn out for our movies if they're given a chance. But everyone says, no, we don't stream it. No, we don't want to stream it. So we're in that phase. We're still not absolutely done. We're still tweaking. We have done ADR, color correction, subtitles. Everything is still a major decision, but we're so close. I think that maybe by, and now we're doing film festivals. I'm glad to hear of the success we had. And they put a lot of weight on film festivals, and they're hard to get into. They really are. They're challenging. So we keep trying, but the movie is called The Answer to My Prayer, and the tagline is, they didn't have a prayer. Now they do. That's what happens. It's the story of 3 Latinos who say the prayer, and then total chaos happens in their lives. And it really is about their friendship.
That's great.
It's about their friendship. And then, wonderful things happen, and everybody's happy at the end. It has a happy ending. I'm very, very proud of it. So, that's what I am.
You're about to embark on a new movie, The Wrecking Crew, with Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista, an action comedy, I think it is. Can you tell us what the beginning baby steps are? Was you just getting into it, or just?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're like on the final stages to read the script to the studio's liking. But it's a very exciting one because even though you have, say Jason Momoa and Bautista, they're both islanders. Momoa's from Hawaii, Bautista's from Philippines, and the movie has a really special place as it takes. It talks about a lot of topic, the undertone. You say, action comedy, yeah, that's what the studio sees. What we're into is the subtext behind it. The same way that people were excited about, Chinatown came out, what Chinatown was uncovered, had to move what's happening in the lake, the water. And so there's always a way to be able to tell your vision, to have your vision in and dress it up with a little bit more action and I'm more than excited to do them because it's going to be, they're both very passionate, not just about their roles, but also very passionate about the message that the movie has. And there's nothing better than have, again, like-minded people who understand the value of art and spectacle as it services the message, not the other way around. So that's all I can say for now. I'm sorry that I'm being very vague, but the plot is a little bit on the wraps right now until we come out. But I cannot wait to do a show that you can make spectacle, you can make action, you can make all those things that people pay money to go on movie theaters and still be able to live in a message that shines a light on a situation that is not, that is, although it is specific, it is also universal. So substance doesn't ever have to compromise for anything else. I think substance is what makes movies come out. Rafael, you have something?
Wait, I just want to add, that what really helped me too was finding a producer and a director that also shared my vision, and that is Christina Nava and Patrick Reyes, really, just terrific young filmmakers. We wouldn't have the film without them. They're really great. Everybody in the production is probably 95% of it's really cool. Very, very cool.
Congratulations. I will say that my immigrant father lived in the United States with the idea that you can only survive by keeping 2 full-time jobs all the time. It's sad, but it's true. And that's what it takes for a lot of us to actually make it to this point that we are today. Keeping 2 full-time jobs to be able to have the career that we have. I was a staff writer on James Virgin while I was the CEO of the Latino Film Institute for Edward James Olmos, producing La Ligue, running the youth cinema project by Next Animation. All of this stuff just to be here. Now I'm privileged enough to just write full time, but the amount of projects I'm working on is stupid. I don't wish it on anybody. But I'm directing a short film that I'm in post-production on. My publisher wants my second book that I hope to start this Christmas. I developed a murder mystery from a disability novel that I'm taking out with my producer Flavio Morales, who may or may not be in the audience here today. Developing like the first superhero for Disney TV animation and all this stuff. But the thing I'm most excited about that just got this news a few weeks ago, the major studio is going to develop my book into a TV show. So please develop that 3 4 that's the
I feel like a slouch. You guys are so
You ain't no slouch, Alma.
You know, I'm just blessed. Strike ended, and not, this regular summer day, and I'm going to be doing a guest turn on one of those high-profile like cop shows, So I'm looking forward to that. I start next week. But I just want to tell the story about like doing something you love. I did like 5 independent films, I believe, last year. I had some time off from university, I did it. And I just arrived in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, with all my suitcases. I was going to be there, I think, 10 days. And a small film, again, independent, but I love to do small films. And so I got there, and I was pulling up my luggage, and I get a call from Nancy. I'm Nancy. Oh, wow. We were looking for an actress. Someone, couldn't do it. Can you fly? Do it. Nancy, yeah. Because I've known her for a long time, and I know her background. It's just, we've never done it before. And I said, yeah, when? Tomorrow.
It wasn't somebody couldn't do it. Somebody was fired off the set. Yeah. And I said, Alma, it has to be Alma.
And so what happened was, well, I already have a contract, so I went to them, and they said, yeah, sure. So it's a small independent film. Yeah, we'll work around you, no problem. How many days do you need? So, great. So I finished shooting, jumped on a plane, went to San Antonio, and I had been rehearsing the lines, because I knew it was going to be quick. I just had because I had the other lines to rehearse to. So memorize, I seemed beautiful, funny, I love mine. And so I came in, and I did it, and then I flew out the next day and finished the other film. So my point is that, as far as acting and what you do, oh my gosh, and she paid me, but she didn't have to. Because my point is just, you do what you love, and that's been my fortune. I love it. I love what I do, and the teaching, to be honest, it's just as difficult for people of color and women in academia, higher ed, just as difficult as it is in film industry. And it hasn't been a comfortable fit for me, but I love learning environment. So my point is, you do what you love, and it comes. So keep doing what you love. If you have to do 2 full-time jobs, if you have the energy, go for it. But you got to do it because you got to follow what you love. Yes. Don't settle. Get that job that you don't like so much to do what you love. Yes.
I think we just have a few minutes. Anybody has any questions? If not, they'll be available for a few minutes afterwards to circulate and.
Who's going to be great? Who's great? Here, you want to make it?
Thank you so much. This talk has been really inspiring. I have a quick question. It's how this translates for people below the line. Your help. Now you're in a position that you can help someone else, especially below the line, because the industry is not only producers, writers, directors, but it's a lot of people around doing the hard work, production designers, art people, cinematography, and all of that. Especially in your experience with your big film studio movie, how is that now that you're in charge? Is do you have empowered or not yet to like help people around?
I'm going to answer that first, and then I'll just hand it over, because we really, as Latino producers, because I'm a producer, Christina Nada's a producer, and so is Patrick Perez, who's doing our director. And what we didn't specifically say, we wanted the best people, of course, we wanted the best people, but yeah, we wanted Latinos on our crew, because there is a shorthand, there is a language, there is an eye of what does a grandmother's living room look like that, you can't really translate, so it was super important to us. And I really love that Patrick went the extra step and went to a Latino cinematographer website to find our cinematographer who was Mexican from Mexico, and he and the gaffer came up to help us. Amazing folks with such great talent, such artistry. We have a lot of talent below the line in our community. They just need to be given that opportunity. And all of our, pretty much all of our department heads were Latinos because we wanted that, knowing that was the best for our movie.
Thank you.
It's great.
No, that's very true. At least for me, the truth is, I don't have any power yet. In that sort of regard, but you can, because power operates in darkness, you can always take advantage of it a little bit. Because if you have a little bit of the light in you, you can use the momentum of the power to your advantage. And it did help that at least they started with the nation of having like a Latino record, Latino record, right? Once I got in, we did not have a Latino producer, but I think through that year of development or whatever, we were able to manufacture consent, which is like something the US does very well with the media. Manufacture consent into at least understanding that the cast needs to be Latino and needs to be Mexican. Also, that someone inside every department, because they have their own vetting process, and the vetting process means that, which is not always, that doesn't mean that the people they have vetted are the best. There's a lot of amazing other people out there that have never had a chance. And it's always like, yeah, they're not vetted. I always would say, neither am I. Like, I am the risk. You guys took a risk. I haven't taken a super movie. Why trust me and not them? Like, I'm telling you, I trust them. So you start kind of like weaving your way into throwing it back at them. And then when it came into like, and we were able to succeed, especially with the production design. Our costume designer is Manuel Rubio, he's Mexican from Guadalajara. So like, we were able to have a lot of wins. I think like the biggest win that we were able to achieve was, a lot of it was the exteriors, right? If Marvel or DC, they shoot in Atlanta couldn't go farther from anything. So I was like, sure, you can build interiors in Atlanta, I get it, you get the tax credit, but when it comes to exteriors, I'm not gonna do it in Atlanta. Let's do it in Puerto Rico. So let's go home. Let's hire my crew. Let's give them all like Hollywood paying jobs. And you'll see, they're gonna not disappoint. And they did not only did they not disappoint, they exceeded our expectations. They made every other crew that wasn't from Puerto Rico look like they were slacking. And it just gave them opportunity to see. So at least from my end, I tried to do the best I could to bring with me the people that helped me get to where I am in the first place. Because I didn't start here. I started in Puerto Rico doing a film that cost like $200,000. I did the whole festival circuit and worked my way up. It took me 20 years to be here. And I just got to LA like 7 years ago. And I haven't been here full time. So it's like, I think there's something that comes full circle with the fact that if you're willing to, you receive more when you give. If you don't give, you won't receive. And for me, it was always like, they help me, I will help you. I will help you, I will help others. And I don't want to be the only. I don't want to be the first, I don't want to be that. I want everybody to come in. I don't see anybody as a threat. I see all of them as collaborators. So that mindset for me has always been the mindset since I was growing up, and is taking it is choice and it cannot be that.
Thank you.
Can I say a quick thank you? I just want to say how profoundly grateful I am, for this project. And, I knew I had to be here. I found out about it like an hour before it was starting. And I knew I had to be here. And I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and it was just very wounding to watch television and movies. And, the Brady Bunch, and, the Lisa Partridge family had a daughter with brown hair. And I grew up like movies for women with brown hair. And I was right? The men were criminals, and a lot of men and women were made for prostitutes. So it's really wounded me and made me close and not look at popular media, like just stay away from it because it's too movie. And I'm trying to get myself back and keep up with stuff, and so I do here and there when the big projects come along, and I just want to thank you because, you showed me that there's hope. Yeah, and I'm also an artist and writer, so give me hope, like, don't give up, keep it your art. So
That means a lot.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Right, well, thank you very much.
I just want to thank you all for sharing your beautiful and inspiring stories and for representing us in a very authentic way. I work in education with LA Unified, and I was wondering, I know this is a stretch, but I know you're all very busy. What I do is, through my work, we try to connect the classroom with industry, and we do have pathways that are in acting or in the arts, and so I was wondering if any of you would be willing, interested, and available to serve as guest speakers for our young Latinos.
Of course.
I'll tell you after.
But I want to say, moving here from Chicago, and then I'm talking like 25 years ago, and I said, why are there not more Latinos working here? The city is 50% Latino. Why are they not in the studios? And then I saw those big walls that surround the studios, and I said, yeah, that's it.
So let's hop those borders.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you all coming, and hope you found this really informative, and hopefully we'll be doing more of these in the near future.
Yeah.